I want to ask the people from the health board that I'm a fourth years per now, but when we joined, we applied for these loans. And so I'm expected to settle my loan, that is summing to almost 240 plus the interest. I know it can't exceed over 300,000. But today, with the new funding model, how much are these students expected to pay at the end of their fourth year? Another question. You say that the banding began in 1986, but it never sounded like it sounds today. We never knew that these bands existed. Okay, maybe the ideas and the ideologies are good, but the mode of implementation has gone astray. Why could you do this so that these students doesn't know or get to know where they're placed? Because as they join, they must ask, which band am I placed? So that they can know which fee they're going to pay. His Excellency, in the field of education, is a place that requires silence. It doesn't require spectators or fans to cheer as we sit in class to take our exams, or a referee to be biased on the other team. Under the capacity of your office, you are capable of facilitating and capacitating the reconstruction of this new funding model to be worth for us. Please do. Thank you.
Richard, let me take you back a bit, if you allow me. I have had occasion to sort out two other problems like this one in our education sector. When I became Minister for Higher Education, for 19 years, students had to wait for 2 years before you can join university. And nobody wanted to sort it out because it was difficult. Every minister dodged, danced around it because people don't want to solve problems. It is easy to color problems, or we have a big problem. Talk about the problem. Explain the problem. So, but it's difficult. It's okay for people to talk about the problems. I see many people. There's this problem. The students are being placed in the wrong band. This model is not good. But I have tremendous respect for the people who have ideas on how to solve the problem, on how to come up with solutions. Yeah? So, I sorted out the problem of university students having to wait for 2 years. It was difficult. I was called names. People said I was going to destroy the education system. But we were incurring huge losses. A student finishing Form 4 and waiting for 2 years, many of them, by the time they were going to university, many of them had dropped out. Others had gone to pursue other things. Some of the girls had gotten pregnant, and it was just chaos. So I took it upon myself and drove a program that eventually, in 1.5 years, we sorted out the problem. Number two, we had a big issue, a big conversation, as I told you earlier, about education and the absence of technical education in our system. I took it upon myself, and I am very proud today that from 30,000 students in our Tibet, we today have 700,000 students, and we don't have a skills gap that existed before. Again, it took a lot of courage. This too is one such challenge. I'm asking you guys, let us solve it together, the way Junior here said. And we can do it together. We can do it.
In the 5,300 students that Chuka University has called so far, there is a concern of loans and interest. Your Excellency, loans and interest are at the core of this particular model and are at the core of the concern of these particular students. Your Excellency, I was just looking at the statistics, just to be factual in nature, and I was seeing that by 2023, we had around 120,000 defaulters. That's an estimate of 8.5 billion shillings due to these loans and interest.
The loan issue is not, as I told you earlier, is not a new phenomenon. All of us, I can tell you, any student who has gone through university, unless their parents paid the full fee, they have a loan. And I don't think there is any crime in having a loan. And I don't think there is any crime if you have a loan and you genuinely don't have the money to pay for it. I am agreeable that we must look into the subject of a grace period, especially to consider that no student should be asked to pay until they have a job. I am agreeable to that. Because you can't ask a person who is tamarking to pay. Because, you'd just be asking the impossible. I didn't pay myself until I got a job. Nobody followed me. Maybe these people are a lot more aggressive nowadays. So I think the position should be, until we are sure of an income, and we have many ways of finding out an income, whether they are doing a good business, we can collect a lot of information from KRA and all the other agencies, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. And I will encourage those of us who took a loan from the university, if you can afford to pay, please, let us pay. It's the honorable thing to do so that the next bunch of kids can also access university education. On the interest is calculated by actuarial scientists. It is not meant for government to make money. It is just meant for it to be sustainable. That by the time you're paying, if you had been given 5 shillings, it is still 5 shillings that you pay. I don't know whether that is the correct position. Again, Higher Education Loans Board, you are the people who calculate the interest. Can we lower the interest, or you want us to take it up?
Your Excellency, we did a study in 2015 called the NFAC study. And that study showed that for any 100 bob we are lending out, we are recovering 48 shillings only. Now, if that continues, in about 30 years, that fund will not be there. So, although we are charging 4%, and the inflation is about 8%, so we are losing the money on a daily basis. So the consideration to increase may be considered maybe after this cohort of new funding model completes their course in the next 5 years, maybe.
I don't think that's very good news. So I think we keep the interest the way it is.
My question is, Mr. President, the first question is, what was so wrong with the old funding model that we could not sit down and amend it? Because even a constitution of a country, you just don't wake up one day and bring a new constitution. We always go and say, hii clause imetufinya kidogo kama wananchi. We go to the parliament, they amend it, and they take it to the president to assent and sign it. So I feel we should go back to the old funding model and amend it. Because, Mr. President, we don't lack stakeholders, we don't lack resources. These people sitting here, watu wanafanya law, nursing, medicine, there are brains here which can sit down in those panels and say, where did we go wrong? First, I want to acknowledge that the new funding model has got good ideas, very brilliant ideas, but the implementation is very wrong, and it's not pleasing based on the fact that there are also challenges from the help. You know, when comrades sit in the same room with the help guys, it's a miracle.
The old model was almost destroying our education. Because, number one, it assumed that all the courses were the same. Number one. It also assumed that government had the money to pay 80% for everybody, when it did not. And the results were disastrous. Scott Theological College, a university, closed down because of the old model. Many universities here, when I came into office, because of the old model, 23 out of 40 public universities were bankrupt. And if you are going to a university that is bankrupt, explain to me what kind of education you are going to get from a university that is bankrupt. Friends. And are there university chancellors here, vice chancellors here who know how serious that is? What was the situation? Yeah? Are they here? Vice chancellors, say many. You know, if the old model was working, tell these students the old model was good, and you know, let's go back to the old model. Yeah? So the vice chancellors are here. Any vice chancellor want to tell us?
Indeed, as you've seen, the old model was killing our universities. And I stand here on behalf of all the universities because I'm the chairman of the Vice Chancellor's Forum, and therefore I can talk on that mandate. And I would want to say, as of June 2023, 23 out of the 40 universities were technically insolvent. And the round one of this model, which we just started last year, has been able to get many of those universities out of that pit. And we have done simulations and we have seen in 3 years' time, in 3 to 4 years' time, all the universities will have a turnaround. And we all stop being insolvent. And therefore, I would want to say, as Vice Chancellors, Your Excellency, we support this model. Because it's a model that we see is going to turn us around. For example, I would want to say University of MP is one of those that would have been otherwise technically insolvent. In fact, in that list, I'm number 17. But I can say, as of now, we are in the positive. And it's only one round. We owned our lecturers. Because of the old model, when we raised the CMBAs, we could not be able to pay the new salaries. And we owned our lecturers and our staff members arrears for 2 years. And because of this new model, last June, May and June, we were able to pay those arrears for 2 years. So right now, University of Embu is clean. We owe nobody nothing. So it's It's a model, Your Excellency, we want to support, because you could draw a line, and we would have told you when all the universities will be technically insolvent in this country. But we know now that there is a turnaround, and we are going to get out of there. Thank you, Your Excellency.